Hey guys, last week I was at Frank the Tank, the Sims track. A lot of fun, by the way. So if you have a chance to go, you do it. Uh, I took my three racing EX reel for a run around the track and realized, it's been a while since I've had it and it started squeaking and that. So, a bit of maintenance would be in order. But I also came up with a few ideas. Well, one idea in particular to lower the center of gravity. Uh, Nothing more to really say. I have to show you, right? So take a look. All right, so this is my three racing. I have custom 3D printed inner fenders. I have a lowered and centered rear battery mount. I also moved the servo forward. Now, this doesn't really change your performance. What it actually does is moves your servo horn towards the back instead of having it facing the front this way. I found that the other way, the servo was a bit farther in, obviously, but the other way, I found that the link here would get hit on the rocks and stuff like that. And now it being much farther in, it has a much safer position to be in. Now, in order to do this, you can't use the original front bracket. I printed this bumper so that it also serves as the front brace, as well as a bit of a weight holder. And these brackets here move the servo forward in order to be able to switch the servo horn around. But the plus of this is that it moves the servo out of the way of the motor. Now, in the instructions, they tell you to mount the motor towards the top of the transmission. The beauty of this transmission, hold on, let me take it off. So here we have the EX Reel 3 Racing transmission. So this particular mounting system, as you can see, it's pretty much symmetrical. So you can mount the motor on the top, you can mount the motor on the bottom, you can actually mount it on the sides. Let me again show you how. This is the inside of the transmission. Those of you that didn't know, it has an inverted spur gear, which means the gear teeth are on the inside of the gear. So basically what this means is, the way this is made is, and since the motor mount is symmetrical, you can mount it this way, this way, this way, or this way. So either way, you always get the same shape, and the pinion is always in contact with the spur. So because of this, the transmission goes this way, and normally you would mount it up here. This is what the instructions tell you to do. But you can go this way, although I don't know why you would, unless you needed room on the side for something. And you mount it this way. This will give you the lowest center of gravity possible on this chassis, most likely. And you can go it this way. So you got 4 positions you can use. And this would basically, I wanted to do in the beginning, but because of the servo mounts, I didn't end up doing it right away. But now I'm going to do it. I'm going to make some new servo mounts to be able to do this. When you're switching things around, oh yeah, one thing to note, this plate is fairly soft aluminum, and it strips really easily. So what I ended up doing was going and putting screws right through with some nylon lock nuts, which I'll show you in a second. So this is the way I'm doing it. So now still screw this through. What I'm using is 10mm socket caps, because personally I don't really like the what do you call them, the button heads that the kit comes with. They always end up being stripped quite easily. So at least with this, you can actually tighten quite a bit. Actually, you can tighten quite a lot. Now on the bottom, with this motor mount, what ends up happening is there's no room for a lock nut. And because there's no room for a lock nut, you still need to use, regular screws. But since this piece here, the actual motor mount, easily stripped, what you can do is you get the 10mm, you add some 10mm socket cap screws or other screws, but they got to be 10mm long and machine, and you just screw it through. And what ends up happening, as you can see here, it actually creates threads and stays nice and tight alongside the motor mount, the primary motor mount, that is. So actually, I can actually tighten that quite a bit. Just like everything else, you can't over tighten. And because of the way I'm mounting it, this last screw here is a bit of a problem. So I can screw it in a little bit. Maybe if I had the ball end screwdriver, it might help a bit. But I can screw it in a little bit. As soon as it gets a little tight, I need to use a regular Allen key. When this is the other way around, you can easily, switch the screws around, and you won't be blocked by the transmission here. So there we go. So I've switched the motor. The stock motor is a 35 turn 540. I'm installing my Holmes Hobbies 27 turn 550 motor. So getting this transmission in and out is quite easy. It's 2, 4, 6, 8 screws, and the whole thing just comes right out. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in. Now normally you wouldn't screw it through all this plastic here, but this is a piece of plastic that's set up with my inner fenders, so it all fits together. But normally you'll just screw them in right into the aluminum plate that the truck comes with. Now this truck is what I would consider an underdog. It performs extremely well. It has yet to break on me, and I may not be as hard on my trucks as some people, but I'm not exactly nice to them either. So this truck can take some abuse. The one mechanical parts that I have changed on it are the drive shafts. I installed some metal drive shafts because the plastic ones were getting worn out, but they were still good. I still have them. I could still use them. Now the original tires, these are Pitbull's PBX AT 1.49, basically maximum size for class 1 tire, and I find it's one of the best tires you could possibly put on this. Now the original ones are okay for beginners, if you will, but nothing really incredible. My wheels are Team Raffi, I believe. They are high mass, so they got some good weight to them. And that definitely helps the performance of this truck. So these are my custom lengthened servo mounts. They're exactly the same as the original, but they are about 20 millimeters longer to move the servo up. As you can see, this leaves quite a bit of room for a motor. You might even be able to fit a brushless motor with the ESC built in, which is kind of cool. But this is a 550, so it's definitely longer than the 540, and you can see there's still a lot of room. But even with the 540, if you don't have the servo mod, you cannot do this transmission change, because it just won't work. You're gonna have to leave the transmission up top. So I'm gonna take these out, and I have to rethink them because the nut was here, and it would have interfered with the motor. So I'm going to redraw this to reprint it and have the nut go inside of it like an insert, and maybe make it a bit more beefy so that it's just as strong as it is now. It's never broken, but you know, it never hurts to make things a bit beefy. And in plastic, it doesn't really weigh anything, so it doesn't really matter. So, like I said, these are available on Shapeway. The inner fenders are available on Shapeway. I believe the battery bracket is also available on Shapeway. And if you guys need anything else, maybe designed for it, just let me know, and I'll see what I can do. So that's basically it for now concerning the 3 Racing. I actually consider this my cheater truck because it's very basic. It doesn't look like much, but it's out there. It does so well, and it's really, really affordable. I think it's getting a little hard to find right now, but it's still available, and it has a 275 wheelbase, so the D90s fit on it. I went with a Lexine body, so that also increases your capabilities because you got less weight up top, so you get a lower center of gravity. And one thing I wanted to say, hold on a second. When a lot of people are looking at clearance as to how much things they can lower and move and customize, so on and so forth, they're always thinking that you have to make sure this clears. But in reality, it's not the case at all. What you need to make sure of is if you push one side down, does it clear? Because this way, it's kind of hard to tell. I don't know if you can see it. But if I push it down straight, it touches the motor. Right here, it touches the motor. It's kind of hard to see. But it does touch the motor. So that's pushing it all the way down, straight down, which hardly ever happens when you're driving your truck in a scale type thing, not jumping it around, because jumping it around, obviously you're going to bottom out. But if you're just driving your truck like a scale truck, like it should be, you're only going to get flex on one side or the other, right? So this being the case, it will not bottom out. That's when you can really see if you have proper clearance. It's kind of hard to see, but it's not touching. It's really, really close, but it is not touching. And then if it did touch, it's at the bottom, really, really at the extent of the stroke. So again, most trucks, when they're flexing on a trail and rolling, it will never go all the way, or very rarely go all the way to the top. Most of the time, they'll stop maybe a few millimeters short of the top of the stroke. So when you're checking for clearance and you want to modify your truck and you want to increase or decrease your center of gravity, so you want to bring your center of gravity down lower, like I did with the motor, basically what you're checking and what you have to check is the single-sided suspension travel. Because this way, You see it bottoms out, right? But if I do it this way, it doesn't. So I have exactly the same travel on a single side as I did before, but the motor was all the way up here. Now, I don't know if you know it, but a motor weighs quite a bit. And, bringing the motor down, literally, 20 millimeters at least? Let's measure that and see. Yeah, so it's about maybe 17, 18 millimeters is going to make a big difference on your center of gravity. Now this applies to any RC. Doesn't matter what brand it is, doesn't matter what company made it, doesn't matter what suspension you have. If it's a scale crawler or trail truck, class 1, even class 2 I would say, because class 3 is a bit extreme because most of them have way more suspension travel. But class 1 and 2, if you want to check your suspension travel and you want to lower your center of gravity, do not bottom out the suspension on both sides at the same time. Only do it on one side or the other. And this will allow you to bring any pieces, any parts, transmission, motor, whatever, down an extra 3, 4, 5 millimeters. It depends on your setup, obviously. You guys got any questions concerning this? Shoot me a message. Come see me on Facebook. And as usual, check the links in the description. And I'll catch you guys later.